Thank you very much. Please.
Good afternoon, and welcome to this working luncheon on U.S.-Africa relations. My name is H.R. McMaster, Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs. We are honored to be joined by His Excellency President Museveni of Uganda, His Excellency President Zuma of South Africa, His Excellency President Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire, His Excellency President Condé of Guinea, who is also Chair of the African Union, His Excellency President Sall of Senegal, His Excellency President Geingob of Namibia, His Excellency President Buhari of Nigeria, His Excellency President Akufo-Addo of Ghana, and His Excellency Prime Minister Haile Mariam of Ethiopia. We also welcome your distinguished ministers. I'm pleased to be joined by members of the President's Cabinet, our Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, our Chief of Staff, General John Kelly, our Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, as well as State Department Chief of Staff Margaret Peterlin, and our great Senior Director for African Affairs, Cyril Sarter. It is a great privilege to host you, a group of valued partners with whom we have strong relationships that will grow stronger in the coming months and years. And it is a great honor to introduce to you our 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, General. I appreciate it. And I'm greatly honored to host this lunch, to be joined by the leaders of Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, Nambia, Nigeria, Senegal, Uganda, and South Africa. In particular, I want to thank President Condé, who is representing the African Union. Thank you. Thank you. In this room, I see partners for promoting prosperity and peace on a range of economic, humanitarian, and security issues. We hope to extend our economic partnerships with countries who are committed to self-reliance and to fostering opportunities for job creation in both Africa and the United States. Africa has tremendous business potential. I have so many friends going to your countries trying to get rich. I congratulate you. They're spending a lot of money. But it has that tremendous business potential and representing huge amounts of different markets. And for American firms, it's really become a place that they have to go, that they want to go. 6 of the world's 10 fastest growing economies are in Africa. Increasing American trade and investment across diverse industries, including agriculture, energy, transportation, healthcare, travel, and tourism, will further transform lives throughout the continent. Secretary Tillerson and the U.S. Millennium Challenge Corporation are already considering an investment worth hundreds of millions of dollars in Côte d'Ivoire, which has made impressive economic reforms, really done a tremendous job. We also hope that African firms like the company Sasol, consider making investments in the United States. Sasol, as an example, is building a $9 billion petrochemical plant in Louisiana, which will bring new jobs to the state, and really hardworking Americans will be manning those jobs. But we cannot have prosperity if we're not healthy. We will continue our partnership on critical health initiatives. Uganda has made incredible strides in the battle against HIV/AIDS. In Guinea and Nigeria, you fought a horrifying Ebola outbreak. Nambia's health system is increasingly self-sufficient. My Secretary of Health and Human Services will be traveling to Africa to promote our global health security agenda. Yet we know that our prosperity depends, above all, on peace. The United States will partner with the countries and organizations like the African Union that lead successful efforts to end violence, to prevent the spread of terrorism, and to respond to humanitarian crises. I commend your troops currently serving in the field. Very brave, very, very brave what they're going through. As you well know, too many people are suffering from conflict in Africa. In the Central African Republic, the Congo, Libya, Mali, Somalia, and South Sudan, among others, they're going through some very, very tough and very dangerous times. Terrorist groups such as ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, and Al-Qaeda also threaten African peace. The United States is proud to work with you to eradicate terrorist safe havens, to cut off their finances, and to discredit their depraved ideology. And a number of you have told me, actually last night, that we've been doing a very good job over the last 6 or 7 months in particular. We're closely monitoring and deeply disturbed by the ongoing violence in South Sudan and in the Congo. Millions of lives are at risk, and we continue to provide humanitarian assistance. But real results in halting this catastrophe will require an African-led peace process and the sincere, really sincere commitment of all parties involved. And I know you're working on that, and you're working on that very hard. To assist in these efforts, I'm sending Ambassador Nikki Haley to Africa to discuss avenues of conflict and resolution, and most importantly, prevention. Lastly, I want to discuss our partnership against a global challenge. Today, the world faces an enormous security threat from North Korean regime. We must all stand together and be accountable in implementing United Nations sanctions and resolutions in response to North Korea's hostile and menacing actions. We believe that a free, independent, and democratic nation, in all cases, is the best vehicle for human happiness and success. Thank you for joining me for this critical discussion of the challenges and the opportunities facing our nations. Africa, I have to say, is a continent of tremendous, tremendous potential. The outlook is bright. I look forward to hearing from you and your advice during the meal. I thought rather than just eating, we'll have long discussions, and I look forward to that very much. But I also look forward to getting to know so many of you, and so many of you I do know. And it's an honor. It's an honor. And I really want to congratulate you. Growing very fast, economically and in every other way. You've done a terrific job. You've had some tremendous obstacles placed in your path, but you have done really an absolutely incredible job. So I want to thank you, and I look forward to our discussion. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege to introduce President Alpha Conde for his response as President of the African Union. Welcome, sir.
Monsieur le Président Trump,
Mr. President,
Président des États-Unis d'Amérique,
President Trump, President of the
Mesdames,
United
Messieurs les chefs
States,
d'État et de gouvernement,
Excellencies, heads of state and government, dear
Mesdames,
guests, ladies and gentlemen.
je voudrais tout d'abord
First
remercier
of
le
all,
président
I would
Donald
like to
Trump
thank President Donald Trump for organizing this working lunch and for inviting us,
ce qui montre l'importance qu'il
which
attache
shows how much importance he shows to Africa. Our presence among you reflects the excellent nature of the friendship and cooperation that exists between the United States and Africa. These relations have developed remarkably over the years in the mutual interest of our peoples. The strategic partnership we are working to diversify is built on the foundation of the ties we have built throughout the history of our two continents. Today, our goal is to ensure our sustainable development in a context of peace, security, stability, conducive to the emergence of Africa in this world of deep change. Africa has many assets, including its immense potential of soil and subsoil, its fishery and maritime resources, coupled with its demographic strength, which intends to use to ensure the well-being of our populations. The undeniable progress that has enabled Africa to become one of the 10 most dynamic economies of the world now position Africa as the continent of the future on the international scene. Despite an unfavorable international environment characterized by fluctuations in the prices of commodities fixed outside the continent, Africa is determined to continue its efforts to operationalize the structural transformation of its economy. To do so, we will work tirelessly to diversify our economies, develop our infrastructure, industrialize and improve our access to energy, a prerequisite for the creation of decent and sustainable jobs for women and young people who must be the real engine of the continent's development. Implementation of the African Union's Agenda 2063 and its first 10-year plan will contribute to the integrated development of the continent, thus enabling it to participate fully in the management of international affairs. The United States have also played a key role in the fight against diseases in Africa, malaria, AIDS, Ebola, and so on, and also in the fight against terrorism and for the stability of Africa, notably through operations of peacekeeping. We commend you, and we thank you. The adoption of AGOA was also a crucial step for the development of trade between the United States and Africa. We are convinced that with your leadership, President Trump, trade will intensify with Africa. The Millennium Challenge has also contributed significantly to the development of many African countries. Africa is counting on you to strengthen this program. Coming from the private sector, you understand better than anyone the important role that the private sector can play in economic development. Africa needs substantial investments for the emergence of a vibrant and resilient private sector, which can contribute to the enormous employment and empowerment needs of women and young people. This will contribute significantly to the reduction of refugee flows and mass migration to Western countries, the tragic spectacle of which challenges our collective consciousness. We are counting on you, therefore, to encourage American investors to become more interested in our continent, while ensuring that conditions will be created for a business-friendly climate. We also count on your leadership to make Exim Bank get more involved in Africa and support U.S. investors. We hope for great involvement of the United States. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the positive dynamics in Africa in recent years have been hampered by the persistence of tensions, terrorism and violent extremism, the adverse effects of climate change, drought and famine, which call for vigorous actions.
Toutes choses qui appellent des actions vigoureuses de votre part. Votre
Your
engagement
commitment and your firm will to fight terrorism encourages and reassures us. We are counting on you to bring the U.S. support to the G5 Sahel for the rapid
pour l'opéralisation rapide
for
de
the
sa
rapid
force conjointe.
operationalization of its joint force.
La décision que nous avons prise à
Moreover,
Kigali de consacrer 0,2%
The
des
decision we have
importations
taken
budget
in Kigali to devote 0.2% of our eligible imports will enable Africa to soon contribute 25% to the financing of peacekeeping operations in
financement des
Africa,
opérations de maintien de la paix en Afrique.
as mandated
Le continent africain a
by
parcouru un
the
long
Security
chemin.
Council. The African
dans sa
continent
quête de
has
bonne
come a long
gouvernance
way
et
in
de
its
respect des
quest
droits
for
de
good
l'homme.
governance and respect for
La
human
célébration
rights.
cette année du
This
10e
year's
anniversaire
celebration of the 10th anniversary
la
of the
Charte
adoption of
africaine des
the
droits de l'homme et
African
des peuples
Charter on Human and People's
preuve
Rights
tangible
is the tangible
de
proof
l'enracinement
of the deepening and
et de l'appropriation des
appropriation
valeurs
of
démocratiques
democratic values by African
populations africaines et
populations
dirigeants.
and their leaders.
En outre,
In addition,
l'Union africaine s'est engagée
the
dans un
African
processus de
Union
réforme
has embarked on a
institutionnelle
process of institutional reform that will consolidate its political, economic, and financial autonomy. Africa now speaks with one voice in finding viable solutions to the continent's major concerns. In particular, the reform of the UN Security Council, for which we have adopted a common position contained in the Eswatini Consensus. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we are convinced that the implementation of the Continental Free Trade Area will ultimately remove all barriers to intra-African trade. Our partners must also strive to remove all the barriers that prevent the development of a viable and truly profitable partnership. There are immense opportunities for cooperation in all socioeconomic fields, and it is up to us to seize them so that together we can eradicate poverty, offer a bright future for our people. Africa is counting on you, President Trump, to write a new page in U.S.-Africa cooperation for a new era in our relations. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. No questions? No. Thank you very much.